Hi guys, welcome to the second video of my collection series. Of course, you read the title of this video. I'm going to be focusing on the different video games that I collected from the past and even up to this day. So some of these are relics that I own, some of these have been preserved ever since my childhood, and some of these I just keep near and dear to my hearts. So the way I'll be showing this first off is through my PlayStation era. So PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, the PlayStation Vita, PlayStation Portable, and I will also be showing all my Nintendo stuff. So Wii, Wii U, some Switch games, and all that other type of stuff. And then some extra games as well that I've collected. Without further ado, let's get started with the PlayStation stuff. Starting off with the PlayStation 1. So here is a game case of all the different PlayStation 1 games that I've collected over the years. Actually, this wasn't mine. This used to be our neighbor's when he used to play the PlayStation, but gave it to me and my brother because, he outgrew his PlayStation, so he decided to give it to us. Actually, my parents gave us me and my brother, PlayStation when we were little, but that PlayStation ended up breaking, so that's how we ended up with the neighbor's PlayStation. But we still preserved our games, but just moved the memory card to the other PlayStation. So without further ado, here are just some of them that we have here. So I have Ridge Racer Revolution, Tekken 3, Twisted Metal Small Brawl, my favorite Twisted Metal, and Twisted Metal 2. Right here we have Dance Dance Revolution Konamics, we have Vigilante 8, we have its sequel Vigilante 8 Second Defense, and we have Rayman Rush. Here we have the original Ridge Racer, here's Digimon Rumble Arena, here's Pooh's Party Game in Search of the Treasure. And this one isn't really from my childhood. I just actually bought this recently because of my enjoyment of Crash Team Racing. So yeah, that's how I ended up with this. Here we have Snowcross Championship Racing. Here's Tekken 2. This is Twisted Metal 3. And Jeremy McGrath Supercross 2000. I have Bloody Roar 2. Here's the King of Fighters 99. Here's the original Tekken and the original Twisted Metal. These ones right here are my brother's games, but these were fun to play regardless. This is Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, Power Rangers Time Force, Rock'em Sock'em Robots Arena, and Toy Story 2. And then here we have Rampage World Tour, Tycho RC, Assault with the Battery. Actually, this was the first game that my parents ever bought for me, and to this day I actually like to play this just for nostalgia reasons. And then of course the Metal Gear Solid games. These three right here are actually my neighbors, but this one right here, the PlayStation 1 Wherever, Whenever, Forever demo CD, was the first ever CD that we got for the PlayStation. Only played demo games and 2 videos, but it was still interesting regardless. Nonetheless, here's Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero, and the PlayStation Magazine. This is issue 28, by the way. And then finally on this side, we have the Interactive Sampler Disc Volume 5 for the PlayStation. That's also not mine, that's our neighbor's. And we have Monsters Inc. Scream Team. However, digging further into the stash, I ended up finding Wheel of Fortune. Here's Crash Bandicoot 1 for the PlayStation. Here's Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. And here's Crash Bandicoot Warped. I also managed to find 2 PlayStation 1 covers of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and Twisted Metal 4. Okay, that's it for my PlayStation 1 stuff, so let's transition on to PS2 stuff. So, without further ado, I think we should get started with probably one of my favorite video games of all times, the Tekken series, specifically Tekken 5 on the PlayStation 2. If I'm not playing Tekken 5, I also love to play Tekken Tag Tournament, which is also one of my favorite Tekken games of all times. Of course, as a fan of Twisted Metal, I have Twisted Metal Head On. And then I have the Dance Dance Revolution games for the PlayStation 2 as well. So this one doesn't have a cover, but this one contains Dance Dance Revolution X. I also have Dance Dance Revolution Extreme. As you can see, it's also signed by one of my favorite DDR players of all times, OMG Khan. Actually, he's actually the one that influenced me to play DDR. I ended up finding him at my local arcade, and he ended up signing this for me. I'm very thankful for him for that too. But when it comes to DDR Extreme, I also have DDR Extreme 2. Here I have DDR Max. Here's DDR Max 2. And here's DDR Supernova. So as you can see from the past couple games, they actually have these labels on because I actually purchased these on a more recent basis rather than my childhood, because that's when my peak interest in DDR kicked in. Around, I want to say 2016, 2017, that's when I started collecting more of these PS2 games. So all the way from DDR Extreme all the way until this one, these were the ones that I've collected over time instead of like having it in my actual childhood. However, there was one DDR game other than DDR-X that I've also played in my childhood, and I somehow still have it to this day. And it's Dance Dance Revolution Disney Channel Edition. It's okay. I'd rather be playing the Konami side when it comes to their song list, because some of the tracks are actual bangers. But for the standard DDR license song that they have for the Disney Channel stuff, they could be worse. One of my favorite childhood games to play, this is Crash Nitro Kart. I somehow got into this one before Crash Team Racing. And also, this is actually the first PlayStation 2 game I've ever played. This isn't mine, but this is actually my brother's. But from time to time, I also like to play it too. This is Ape Escape 3. And then as I brought up before, I'm a fan of the Dragon Ball Budokai series. So here's Dragon Ball Z Budokai, the original. Here's Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. Here's Budokai Tenkaichi. Now I know some of you guys are wondering, where's Budokai 3? Well, I don't have the cover for this. I only have the disc. So I'll be showing that in a bit. Here's Budokai Tenkaichi 2. Here's Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And this Dragon Ball Z game isn't my favorite, but it's fun to play with my brother from time to time. This is Dragon Ball Z Sagas. And then here are the more random games that I have. So these aren't like the ones that I really like, but I like to play them every now and then. Starting off from what I had back in elementary school and middle school, this is High School Musical Sing It. As a big fan of karaoke songs, I ended up liking this game a lot. Again, this is one of my brother's games, but I ended up liking this a lot too. This is Rayman Raving Rabbids. This one's probably the most obscure game that I have in my collection, but honestly, I really love this. This is Shrek Smash and Crash Racing. I played this in my childhood ever since 2006, and to this day, I still like to play this from time to time. Here's a really fun one that I like to play with my brother. This is Sonic Heroes. The only main reason why I have Soul Calibur 2 is because of the inclusion of Heihachi Mishima from Tekken. This is also a pretty obscure game, but I play it from time to time. This is called Strike Force Bowling. They say that this is the worst WWE game, or one of the worst WWE games, but for me, I find it pretty interesting, but it's definitely not the best. This is WWE Crush Hour. Here's a WWE game that me and my brother played a lot when we were younger, and actually this was our first wrestling video game ever. Besides Crush Hour, this is WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. And finally, from the PS2 covers that I have, here's Wheel of Fortune. However, that isn't the last PlayStation 2 game that I have. I also have more. Inside of this case right here, I have Simpsons Road Rage. And I even saved the cheats that I had collected when I was little. This CD case also hosts a bunch of other PlayStation 2 games that I have. Right here is Twisted Metal Black. Right here is actually one of my other favorite fighting games that I wish would come back. This is Bloody Roar 4. So if you're wondering where Budokai 3 was, here it is. And then next to it is Bloody Roar 3. Again, another great game that I wish they brought back. Right here is SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. And again, not my game, but this is my brother's. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the PS2. So for me personally, I don't own a lot of PSP games, but out of all the ones that I've collected over the years, these three were definitely my favorites to play. On the left is Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai. On the right is Tekken Dark Resurrection. And here, not inside of its case, this is Twisted Metal Head-On for the PlayStation Portable. I want to switch gears for a moment from the PlayStation stuff and move over to the Nintendo stuff that I had. Here are two of the Nintendo DS games that I used to own. Of course, I have Shrek Smash and Crash Racing because I loved it on the PlayStation 2. I also forgot to mention, I also have this for PSP, but I couldn't find it, so... And of course, this one here is actually my favorite DS game of all time. I want to show off my Wii collection now. So of course, what's a Wii without its original game that it came out with, Wii Sports? And to continue on with the Wii Sports series, here's Wii Sports Resorts. This one's also definitely fun. This is Wii Fit Plus. And I know I showed this earlier when I was showing off the PS2 collection, but I also have it for the Wii. and it's actually way more fun to play on this console than the PS2. And then I also have its sequel, Rayman Raving Rabbids 2. In me and my brother's opinion, this was the better game than the original. This one was fun to play. Here's Mario Party 8. Hands down, this one is my favorite video game to play on the Wii, none other than Mario Kart Wii. This one was fun to play every now and then. Here's Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, the original one from Beijing 2008. Here I have the original Just Dance game. I actually used to own the second and the third game as well, but I didn't really want it anymore, and I thought just keeping the original is pretty much good enough for me. And honestly, I really enjoyed this game a lot. I don't like where Just Dance is now, but man, back in the day when this came out, this was fun. Also another video game I enjoy from time to time. Here's Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. And finally, on my collection for the Wii stuff, here's Guitar Hero World Tour. And I think to finish off the Wii phase, let's transition over to the Wii U stuff. I don't have a lot of games for these as well, but I thought I'd show these off as well, just cause. First off, again, this game is for my brother. Not for me, but I like to play this from time to time as well. Here's Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. Here's a really fun one that I like to play with my brother and all of our friends. This is Nintendo Land. And here's what people claim to be the worst Mario Party game of all times, but I find it okay. It's not the best for sure, but it's pretty fun to play with from time to time. And of course, here's my favorite game to play for the Wii U. None other than Mario Kart 8, back in 2014. Switching gears, let's move on back to the PlayStation era with my PS3 stuff. So here is Twisted Metal 2012. Here is Tekken Tag Tournament 2. And some of you might be asking, how come you're not showing Tekken 6? If you're a fan of the Tekken franchise. In my opinion, I didn't like Tekken 6 as much. That's why I only have Tekken Tag Tournament 2. In my opinion, I think this is the better Tekken game to play than Tekken 6, but that's just me. Another wrestling video game that I have for the PS3 is WWE 13. Actually, I didn't really play this as much because I've owned this originally on the Xbox 360 and I religiously played more on that one than this one. But out of all of my video game collections that I have for the PS3, these two hands down are my favorite games to play on that system. The first one here is Hatsune Miku Project Diva F for the PS3. I love this game so much. But however, I think its sequel was the reason why I really enjoyed the game. It was actually the first Vocaloid video game based game that I own, and to this day I still love to come back to it. And here is its sequel, and my favorite video game to play on the PS3, Hatsune Miku Project Diva F2nd. Honestly, if you're getting into Vocaloid and you end up enjoying playing the original PS3 titles, if you get a chance to snatch this one up, this is a great introduction to start off with your Vocaloid journey. Honestly, I learned a lot of songs through this one and the first game, but for some reason I just love the song choices on this one more, despite having some of the older songs from previous titles back in this game. But I enjoy it nonetheless. There are some PS Vita games that I actually own as well, and I want to quickly show them off. Here is Persona Dancing All Night. Right here is Galgun Double Peace. As I mentioned for the PlayStation 3, this is my favorite Vita game to play. This is Hatsune Miku Project Diva F2nd for the Vita. And yes, for sure, this is definitely my favorite Vita game to play. However, I also own Project Diva F for the Vita. I can't boot it up because it won't let me at the moment, but I played this game often as well, but I played F2nd more on the Vita than this one. But there is one more downloadable PlayStation Portable game that I do play every now and then, and in my opinion is my favorite version of that game. It's none other than this game right here, Ridge Racer for the PlayStation Portable. Now I'm going to move over to the PS4 stuff. So starting off first, here is Hatsune Miku Project Diva X for the PS4. Now surprisingly, this one isn't my favorite Project Diva game of all times. That would probably belong to another game that I'll be bringing up later in the video. Here's WWE 2K19. In my opinion, one of the better 2K games to play of this time. Here's Hot Wheels Unleashed. I definitely played buttload tons of this game, honestly. Collected all the vehicles, well mostly except for 2 of them because I'm struggling a lot. And I have all the DLC cars included. But arguably, I say this is probably my favorite game to play on the PS4. This is Tekken 7, and my favorite version of Tekken to this day. Let's see if Tekken 8 can beat that if I end up getting a PlayStation 5 down the future. This is a good transition over from the PlayStation because I'll also be mentioning not only the PS4, but I also have the Switch version of this game. And arguably, this was my favorite racing game back in its heyday in 2019, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Right here, I have the Family Feud version of the Switch game in 2021. Right here is Ring Fit Adventure. Here, I've got Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, the Tokyo 2020 version. Here's Super Mario Party, and its follow-up with Mario Party Superstars. This is still my favorite game to play to this very day. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But closely following up with that, this is Hatsune Miku Project Diva Mega Mix. This is actually the Japanese version. And so this game that I have for the Switch is in Japanese. I'll be getting to the English version in a bit when I show my digital stuff. And then for me, I'm also a fan of visual novels. So on my laptop, I have a bunch of visual novels, and for the ones that I really enjoyed, I also collected on the Switch if they had a version of it. So, with one of them being Tokyo's School Life. Another one, because of my love for Thomas the Tank Engine, and I realized that there's a visual novel about trains, here's my Tetsu, Pure Station. And one of my favorites that I owned in my collection, this is the If My Heart Had Wings, the limited edition by Moe Novelle. There's also one more Switch game that I wanted to mention, and it's Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. So this is the anniversary edition. As you can see, I have the game inside, and then it also comes with an art book. I also ended up finding some of my childhood CD-ROMs, and of course, as a fan of Thomas and Friends, Thomas the Tank Engine, I have several games of his as well. So here's Thomas Saves the Day, and here's Thomas and Friends Building the New Line, and then behind this one, I have Thomas and Friends, Trouble on the Tracks. Here's my PC display, and here are all the games that I own, as well as some other stuff. Here's Tokyo School Life. Here's my Tetsu. Here's Nekopara Extra. Here's Nekopara Volume 0. Here's Nekopara Volume 1. This one is Nekopara Volume 2. Here's Nekopara Volume 3. Nekopara Volume 4. My personal favorite visual novel, Princess Evangel. I also have Princess Evangel Double Happiness. If you know, you know. I have Doki Doki Literature Club. Here's If My Heart Had Wings. If My Heart Had Wings Flight Diary. Here's Neko Nin X Heart. Neko Nin X Heart plus Nachi. Neko Nin X Heart plus Saiha. Neko Nin X Heart 2. Neko Nin X Heart 2 Love Plus. Neko Nin X Heart 3. And to wrap things up from my visual novels, I have Sankaku Renai, Love Triangle Trouble. This is the game that I used to play Dance Dance Revolution at home, otherwise known as Step Mania or Simply Love, or as how I have it now is Simply Bears. Here's the first Jackbox Party box. Here is Jackbox Party Pack number 2. And the last of the Jackbox Party Pack that I have, Jackbox Party Pack number 3. I have Rayman Arena. As a fan of Hololive, I have Holocure Save the Fans. I also have Idol Showdown. And last but not least, I have Hatsune Miku Project Diva Mega Mix Plus. And then coming from the other side where my TV is focused at right now, so these are my extra PS4 games that I have. Beat Saber. I have Crash Bandicoot, The Insane Trilogy. Here's Guilty Gear. Right there is Hatsune Miku VR. This one arguably is also my favorite game to play on the PS4 other than Tekken 7. This is Hatsune Miku Project Diva Future Tone. Right here in the middle, this is Hatsune Miku Project Diva Future Live. Right down there is Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. And finally, I have My Hero Academia One's Justice. And now here is my library of games in the Nintendo Switch. So other than the ones that I mentioned, right there highlighted is Groove Coaster YY Party. If not Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, this would also be my favorite game to play on the Switch. Right next to Mario Kart, here's the Suika game or the Watermelon game. Right under YouTube, here's Kizuna I Touch the Beat. And in the middle, here's Taiko no Tatsujin Drum and Fun. There is one more series that I want to conclude on because this is the game franchise that I actually got back into recently after watching several videos online, as well as all the memories that I had in my nostalgia. And because of that, I also wanted to try to complete the collection that I could try to accomplish. So with that, here's Rage Racer from the PS1. Here we have Ridge Racer Type 4 for the PS1. Here's Ridge Racer 5 for the PS2. And finally, here's Ridge Racer 7 for the PlayStation 3. So those were all of my game collections that I have physically, some digitally. All of these that I have are all great and fun to play. And it probably helps describe of who I am as an individual when it comes to gaming. I just like to play for fun. I'm not very competitive when it comes to these type of games. It's just all about the fun, honestly. If you think that my collection sucks, then let me know. If you think my collection is unique or really cool, or it's actually one of the best things you've ever seen, let me know. I'm interested to hear. Otherwise, what games have you collected back in the day? And out of all the games that you've collected, which one's your favorite game to play for each of the systems? Let me know in the comments down below. And then if you're interested in letting me know what type of other content you'd like to see on this channel, again, let me know. I'd love to hear it. I'll wrap up here for now. So, hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys. Peace.